You are watching Sammy the Interviewing Toucan, made possible by the Indiana Young Readers Center. Hey, everybody, I'm Sammy, and I'm here today with Dori Graham. Hi, Dori.
Hi, Sammy.
How are you today?
I am very well, and I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to be talking to you and about your book, Brave Miss Muffet, which I've got right here. And I hope that all of our viewers go check it out. So we'll just dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Indiana.
I am a children's librarian. Right now,
Yay.
I work with teenagers, but I worked with everybody from a few weeks old up to 18. And I am born and raised in Indiana, specifically in Fort Wayne. We have three giant rivers that come together in Fort Wayne, and so we're called Three Rivers, or sometimes the Summit City. Lived here all my life.
Oh, I love that. Dori, you're like my favorite kind of person because you're a children's librarian and an author. Those are like my two kinds of favorite people, and you're both all rolled into one. I
Those are
love
two
that.
things that I have wanted to be my entire life. So I feel like I'm living my best life.
Oh, that's so great. And when we think about Fort Wayne and living in Indiana, do you consider yourself to be a Hoosier?
I do. I do consider
Yay.
myself to be a Hoosier.
That's great. I love that. Tell us a little bit about your book here. We've got Brave Miss Muffet right here. What can you tell us about it?
So, Brave Miss Muffet is very similar to the nursery rhyme about Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a
Sat on a
tuffet eating
tuffet,
her
eating her
curds
curds
and
and whey. Yep.
along came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. The thing is, when I went to write this story, I thought to myself, what if Miss Muffet isn't afraid of spiders?
Yeah.
What would that do? And then the story came from there. And so throughout Brave Miss Muffet, she proves to the narrator, because she talks back and forth, the narrator and Miss Muffet talk to each other. The narrator being the person who tells the story. They go back and forth where the narrator tries to find something to scare Miss Muffet with, but he can't find anything because she's really pretty brave. I wrote that story because when I was little, my mom and a lot of my aunts were afraid of spiders. And so I started to be scared of spiders. And every time they would see a spider, they'd go, ah! So then whenever time I saw a spider, I would go, ah! But it was something that I was taught to be afraid of, as opposed to me actually learning whether or not I was afraid. So I wrote this book kind of as a way to say, like, sometimes we should ask questions about the things that we're told. Sometimes we should ask questions about the stories that most people have, and make certain that it's a story that we have ourselves.
Gosh, that's so great and very deep as well. When people talk about picture books being, for children, I always get a little bristly because I feel like picture books are for everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really are.
Yeah. So, Dori, can you tell us a little bit about your writing journey and where do you hope to be someday?
Yeah, so since I was a very little girl, I already said this, when I was a very little girl, I wanted to be an author. Once I learned that an author was someone who writes books, that books got written by people. I was about 4 years old when I found that out. And then I grew a little bit older and realized how hard reading was for me, because I have
Oh,
a type of dyslexia, and which is that words sometimes get jumbled around and they're tricky for me. But I love stories so much, so I worked really, really hard with some people. I got to go to a special room and work on resources to get me to be a better reader, and I really, really practiced hard. And then reading became fun and easier for me. And now that I'm a grown up, I have a degree in reading in literature. And then I also have a master's degree, which is when I go to college after college almost.
right.
And I have a writing degree. So, all of that
Ah,
to say, don't give up. If you really like stories, keep working at it. And someday you can be a writer and a librarian, someone who reads all the time and writes all the time.
oh, that's so encouraging. And Dori, I just want to let you know you are not alone in having a difficult time learning how to read. I think studies show that about 30 to 40% of children actually do have a pretty hard time learning to read, you know? It's a tough thing.
It is. I used to be really sad and embarrassed about it, but then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna focus on learning this skill. I'm gonna learn it, and then it's always gonna be mine. And that's what books
Oh,
became for me.
I love that. All right. So, talking about reading, you've talked a little bit about learning how to read and the kinds of things that you can learn from books. Do you think that reading diverse books and a big variety of books, do you think that's good for kids?
Absolutely. The best thing about reading is that it gives you new chances to live lives. You can live as many lives as books you can read. And when you're reading books that are about people that are different than you can learn things about them. You can learn things that maybe you'll end up facing later in life. You can learn things about people who are different from you, whether they have a different ability or they don't have an ability that you have, or whether they have a different culture or a different gender or a different person that they love. There's so many things that you can learn from reading, and then it also helps you with that scared moment when you have someone who's different from you and you're not certain how to talk to them. Does do I need to talk a special way? Do I need to avoid saying certain things? Books can kind of help you practice that so that when you do meet someone new, you can just get right to being friends. That's why I like reading diverse books.
I feel like you and I managed to just get right to being friends today, even though we're really different, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, you're a person and I'm a corduroy toucan. So, like, I think it's because you and I have both read diverse books that we're able to
Yeah,
just hop right in.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
true.
I love that. Now, Dory, I always ask folks to share a little something. Do you have a little something to share with us today?
I do.
Yay.
This is my jar of rocks. And
Wow.
these rocks are really special to me because here in Indiana, we're kind of close to all of the Great Lakes, and these
Wow.
are rocks that I've collected. Um, and I like to keep them in a little bit of water from the lake so that they can stay as pretty as they are when you find them in the water.
Oh, they're so beautiful. And look at all the colors. I can see sort of like blues and yellows and reds. That's amazing.
Thanks.
Now, do your rocks give you some kind of inspiration or are they just pretty? What do you think?
So what I do is every time I go, I hunt for rocks until I have a full rainbow of rocks. So when you're saying you can see so many different colors, that made me really happy because there should be every rock that you or color that you can find in a rainbow. So there's ones that are kind of green or kind of blue or kind of purple. Those ones are the tricky ones. That's my favorite thing to do is find the full rainbow. And it goes back to the diversity that we were talking about. All of these rocks are a little bit different, but they together make this gorgeous color spectrum, all of the colors. So that's one of the reasons why I like to collect rocks.
I love that, just like all of the diversity of people in the world.
Yep.
Wow, that's so great. Dory, I have loved talking to you today. I just encourage everybody to check out Brave Miss Muffet. I'm so proud of you for getting it out there in the world. And it's just been wonderful meeting you today.
Same, Sammy. I have loved this every minute of it. Thank you for having
Oh,
me.
you're welcome. Well, everybody, you have been watching Sammy the Interviewing Toucan, reminding you to read local. So long, Dory.
Hi.